Jake, I am so excited to talk on the show about Sting's last match. Jake, are you there? We got a show to do.
Hang on, Scott. Sorry. I gotta wait. I'm getting cues. Hold on.
Sting's last match and more today on Pro Wrestling Palskis.
Hey, Scott Narver.
Hey, Jake Lloyd Bacon.
Hello and welcome to Pro Wrestling Palskis, everybody. Thanks for joining us in your pod feeds as you listen to this, and very special thanks to those of us joining us live via the super exclusive patron-only live stream. If you'd like to join us for these live, and it's the place to be, dog. Ugh.
Yeah, whether you're at your cubicle and you got that second monitor dedicated just to us, whether you're at the docks, you know, and you set up a little phone.
Like the doctor office or a place where boats go?
Aren't they one and the same?
Depends on how good the doctor
is.
That's
a dockyard where there are doctors and ships. And that's how you get new doctors all the time. They're shipped in.
I have a feeling I might doctor this opening in post-production. If you'd like to become a patron and join us live, then you need to head on over to patreon.com/pwpalskis. That's patreon.com/pwpalskis. What does the PW mean? We may never know. But it does mean champion to one person, Mike Lucas, a.k.a. Hackensack. The current PWP World Champion Mike Lucas will defend that title later on today, this very day, this very episode. He will face the names in the championship jar here in just a little while. Once again, if you want to get in on all the Patreon goodness, you got to become a patron at patreon.com/pwpalskis.
It's the only way to do it.
It's the only way to do it.
You can't write an essay. That doesn't work.
No.
You can't be like Edge's beginning of his wrestling career where he wrote an essay to a newspaper and got in. Like, that doesn't work.
It might work. It might work now again on Triple H.
Oh, for that? Yeah, but who wants to be a part of WWE? Like, what?
Yeah.
Are they even moving the needle?
No, not at all. Wrestling's not even remotely cool because of them.
No. And ever since they stopped using needles, it's no fun.
And you and I don't know how to read, so that's why it doesn't help to do it to us.
No, and I see images in Picasso form. So your nose is way over here, and your ear is up here, and you're all kinds of hideous. People tell me that you're all right looking, but I don't buy it.
Oh, I don't buy that people tell you I'm all right looking.
That's true. I lied. So speaking of lies in relationships, no, this is a terrible segue. None of this is true. I just wanted to address something.
Scott.
I just wanted to address something personally in life that I addressed this on the pre-show a little bit ago. But
oh boy,
my relationship has with my girlfriend has ended mutually. Things are really great between us now. Like we're like really focused on building a friendship, which is new to me and relationships breaking up. And just want to let everybody know, like currently I will be still using the studio from time to time. If you watch any of my other endeavors, that will still be shot in the studio for a while. And from time to time, I may be recording in my new digs and doing that here. And I don't have the fancy setup. And Jake was even sweet enough to say like beforehand, like, do you want to add the backdrop since you're not, in your studio? And I was like, nah, I'd rather address it just as real and what's going on. So things are okay. There's some difficulty amongst it, yes, of just like sad stuff. That things are changing and moving on, but it's a new chapter. It's a new day. It's a new story. The story isn't finished.
Oh, I see what you did there.
Suck on that, Cody. With his finality, but
I will say, I know that like you're right. Like there is some sadness inherently, but you are saying that things are good overall, as far as the health of situation, the room you're in does not dictate what you just said. It looks like things are really, really bad. It looks barren and like you've just recently been robbed. It's looking dire behind you. I'm just gonna go ahead and say that.
I assure you, I've not been robbed. And things are not barren.
What do you get?
Nor are they Corbin, but I'm okay.
Why? Because you have.
I'm okay.
Oh my God, we talked about that.
Yeah,
I still need to get my hands on that.
I have Cloak and Dagger.
It doesn't. Nothing to play it on.
4K with the. Yes, I do.
Okay.
It's right over here.
Oh, okay. Sorry.
I didn't put a giant screen behind me. That don't work because I don't know how to put anything on the screen that makes it look good on camera.
Oh, I know.
But it's it's got the movie that looks like the game, and it's got a booklet. I'm okay.
This is not a movie podcast.
It's not a movie podcast, but it's a Cloak and Dagger podcast one day. It will be.
I'm all right with that.
So yeah, I just want to address that. Let everybody know, like, it's all right. Things are going. These things happen, and we're all working on being okay.
Well, speaking of working on being okay, lots of stuff, lots of beginnings and endings in wrestling.
So many. This was crazy, and we got. Yeah, it covers the gamut. So let's go into the bit of the sad stuff first. We've had 2 passings at the time of this recording. We've had let's see here. We've had Ole Anderson passed away at 81 years old, and I know in this day and age, like, people are, they're pretty sour on Ole Anderson, but I think Ole Anderson is a very pivotal part of, especially I guess not modern wrestling, but the generation before that. What would we call that age?
The golden era.
The golden age?
Yeah. I mean, that's the WWF brand was golden age, or the golden era. But yeah, it is. It essentially
the
was
NWA. And,
it was the final days of the territory. It was the era that bridged the gap to television, to national television.
So he's pivotal in that, because without Ole Anderson, you don't have Arn Anderson.
Right.
Because Ole was first, and then they looked at Arn and went like, yeah, he looks kind of like Ole.
Right, yeah.
And you have he's a founding member of the Four Horsemen. Ole is such a pillar of that group. I know the revisionist history has changed that, and they kind of went like, yeah, it's Barry Windham. But Ole's the beginning part of it, and he was fantastic. You could even say, like, as much as the stories come out that people dog on Ole for with Undertaker, right? That he met Calloway and he's like, no one's ever going to pay to see you wrestle.
Right. Yep.
Without a person like that doesn't have that vision in him, that there have been all throughout wrestling history that people have not seen it in someone. If you didn't have that, you didn't have Calloway being fired up and going like, I'll show you.
Right. No chip on his shoulder.
And to go and seek out and to meet with Vince, like, it probably wouldn't have happened the way it would have happened.
He was willing to be Eggman. For all,
So Ole's great, Ole's awesome. So I think to go back and look at the career and look at the other stuff, and there's funny stories too, like I had heard about recently, where Vince McMahon was essentially courting him, trying to get Ole to work for him in the early days of WWF. I don't know if it was as a booker or what, but it's like he knew there's a lot of talent within Ole, and it was trying to get Ole. And Ole told him, like, go fuck yourself, famously. Like, didn't want to work with Vince, didn't want any part of him.
Wow.
And then there was some get together, there's some party or something where Vince is there with Linda and sees Ole, and he goes, Ole, hi. He's still being nice, like trying to get Ole to work for him. He goes like, I want you to meet my wife. And he goes, oh, fuck you and fuck your wife.
I mean, what's not to love about this, man?
This is what you want in professional wrestling. You want some guy that like stands the ground and goes like, go fuck yourself and fuck your wife.
I mean, that's horrible, but also in hindsight, it aged very well.
Like, he didn't do
some
anything.
Things start good and then age poorly. That started poor and aged fantastically.
Right. Like, he didn't throw anything. He didn't do something. He he set boundaries.
It was
That's
healthy.
a good thing to do.
Listen, he was probably he had a very good therapist at the time who was like, listen, you need to make sure that you're setting boundaries. You're being crystal clear on your feelings and what you expect out of people in your life. So mental health pioneer Ole Anderson, rest in peace.
Yeah. We needed good at mental health. And before we had Dr. Shelby, we had Ole Anderson.
There we go.
And then also former WWE and WCW wrestler Virgil passes away at the age of 72. Also, quite the character throughout the years. I always had a fondness for Virgil.
I remember liking him a lot when I was a kid. When I was like a little kid, Virgil was like, yeah, I just thought he was very cool as a kid. And then as an adult, I've watched back and I've been like, I don't know what I liked in it. Maybe he was a good athlete and he had cool stripy trunks. I don't know. But
I loved his presence.
Yeah.
With the $1 Million Man, there's a connotation now where everybody's like, oh, he's a slave. And I was like, I never interpreted it as that as a kid.
Right.
It was always like, he's the bodyguard.
Well,
he's holding on to his money. Like he's entrusted with it and he's mean mugging everyone and like counting the money angrily and going through it. And you're like, oh man, I don't know how you're going to mess with $1 Million Man. Like he's protecting everything.
Right.
And he was an interesting manager because he didn't talk. Like he just looked mean.
Right. Yeah.
And the look that they're
he was
shiny
like he was a bodyguard. He was a hired help.
He was a bodyguard.
The story, I never interpreted it as like the slave story as much as like, if anything, the racial relationship between the white rich guy and the African American guy who is his hired thug who he doesn't have a say in what he gets to do. That's a capitalism story. That's like a really anti-capitalist, like disgusting, like that's the story that I was always told, was that like $1 Million Man was the man holding down and keeping under the thumb those who were less fortunate. Like that's how I always read it. That's why we loved it. And when he finally said no and told him that, when he dropped the fucking title and told him to fuck off, we were like, yeah, fuck the man. He was the original Stone Cold.
Yeah, because he's exactly. He is the guy telling the boss like no, because $1 Million Man's whole thing is everybody has a price.
Yep.
So whoever this guy was, whatever integrity he had, or like, oh, I won't do that for money.
Mm-hmm.
He was bought out, right? And then later fought him. It was the first guy to win the $1 Million championship from $1 Million Man. So that was a huge thing. And he's been fun. Like he was a fun, coming back as Soul Train Jones on AEW because he was a version of that character years ago in the territory. So he's, I had met him a couple times. Like I met him at a Comic-Con and it was one of the weirder experiences I've ever had with a wrestler. Cause it's the lonely Virgil thing. Right. But he kept chatting with me and this is the early days of me meeting wrestlers. And this is the days of a Palm Pilot. Right.
Was this,
okay,
go ahead. Sorry.
And he's going like, man, I got to check the scores. And not everybody had cell phones in, but I'm like, you can look on my phone if you want. He's like, oh, thanks, man. So he's checking his bets for the day, like all the sports bets.
Right.
And then there'd be someone that walks by and goes like, oh man, I used to watch you all the time as a kid. Like, I fucking love you, man. And he's like, oh, thanks. And Virgil's being real cool. And then you got to see the Carney grift of it. I was like, oh man, that's great. Like, it's cool to meet you too, man. Like, hey, if you want to celebrate, you want an autograph photo, you want a picture, something like that. He's doing that, and he's sweet talking.
Doing he's doing a sales pitch.
He's doing a sales, but that's part of the gig. Like that's why he's there, because he didn't ever have a wrangler that I ever saw. Like he never had the person to talk to the people or take the money. It was all
he didn't have a hired help. Yeah, right. He didn't have his own. He didn't have his own Virgil. Yeah, the irony.
Yeah, ironic.
Yeah,
but he did great stuff. Like he was a part of that wrestling boom in the 80s. He's part of that golden era of wrestling, and I think he is a part of the $1 Million Man package and part of that whole look and thing. And
I don't.
Again, another person to go back and celebrate the career.
Yeah, he is to $1 Million Man, to some degree what like Paul Bearer is to Taker. Like when you think of one, you're always going to think of the other. It doesn't mean that they were together forever and that everything that he ever did in his career included him, but like that's the vision. When I picture $1 Million Man, he's standing there and over his shoulder is this fucking yoked Virgil just, looking menacing.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. He's part of the foundation of it.
Yeah, absolutely.
And he did a great job, because if he didn't, they would have gone, all right, get him out of there,
Sure.
somebody else. But it worked great. So sad to see both of these gents going away. But we also have some returns that had happened at a show that we'll be talking about in a little bit here. AEW Revolution. We had the returns of Pac announcing that he's going to be coming back via video. And then Kyle O'Reilly appeared on the pay-per-view as well. So he's back and healthy and dressed poorly, but he's ready.
Was he ever not dressed poorly?
He hit a new
low.
And
low. That's coming from you and I in our graphic tees. We're in our 40s, you guys.
Yeah, I still know that if there's a sold out crowd.
I'm going to put on a nice hoodie right now.
What's going on?
Nice classy hoodie from a shop.
It's like you gotta look either cool or classy, or like you make a choice, not just like you look like you're a part of the crowd at the wrestling show. But hey, he's back and people are excited for that, and I'm happy that he's healthy because I believe he had a neck surgery.
It wasn't a minor thing.
It was pretty intense. So good for him being able to be up and walking around and doing his thing. But then also we got a Shawn Spears returning to NXT.
Not a return, a debut of Shawn Spears, because it's not Ty Dillinger returning. He's a whole new man. He broke out of prison. I don't know. I didn't see the video, but
oh no.
Yeah, I feel like this is kind of strange that he returned, didn't get his WWE name back. Instead, kept the name from the other company that he used. Like, I thought that was really strange. And also, I mean, I might be in the very, very small minority here, but I think Ty Dillinger is a much better name than Shawn Spears for a wrestler. And
you get the alliteration with the Shawn Spears.
Yeah, I know, but I don't know. It's a little.
Is there any famous wrestling Shawns? I mean, I feel like that's an open market.
It's a huge open market. I know there's that one guy, Johnny Gargano. And
then think if he did the move Spear, that's also untouched,
Shawn
right?
Spear. His name should be Shawn Spear, like Ruth's Chris.
Yeah, the Pickle Man.
But I don't know. Ty Dillinger is just a great fucking name to me, and maybe it's just because I'm used to it more than I am the Shawn, and maybe because I'm just like, oh well, it's the WWE name. But it's interesting. It makes me wonder whether or not, like, we're gonna get more of that persona. Obviously, he's not gonna be walking around doing 10s at people, but
he did it as Shawn Spears at times.
Oh, did he?
Yeah. So I don't know. Maybe you felt like I got more notice as Shawn Spears. This is more of the character I want to be, but it's a hybrid. I don't know.
I will say,
this guy's been at it for a long time,
an incredibly long time. Remember when we found him in the old WWE encyclopedia as Ty Dillinger? Oh no, was it Ty? Did he get a different name? Did he have a third name? Or maybe it was still Ty, but it was...
Sure, because Sandow's one of those guys, too, where
you don't realize.
He was in the developmentals forever. They just never called him up, and he kept doing different variations of things until he was ready. But him and Spears are two of those guys that have just been at it for a long, long, long time. And also for the sake of maybe Shawn Spears is going like, hey, I got the connection to Cody. Ty Dillinger doesn't.
Right. Okay, that makes sense. But yeah, I want to say like 2008. Like, he's been around for so long, and he did get called up and then went back down, and like he was kind of enough to be in the fucking encyclopedia before NXT was, a part of it. But yeah, I mean, I'm excited for him. I like that guy. I think he's got
moxie.
He's got a thing. I feel like he reminds me of he kind of reminds me of like Damian Priest in that. Like, I did not like Damian Priest for a long time. And I feel like it took until fairly recently for it to click for me to enjoy him on screen. And I don't mean like as a wrestler. I just mean like to believe anything he's doing. Like, it felt like, he was like playing wrestler, like playing a character. And I feel like Shawn Spears, there's something in there that I'm like, I want to crack that code and figure out what it is. Not to only compare him to Judgment Day members, but the same thing happened with Rhea, where it was like, Rhea needed that next level to figure out who she was, to figure out what her on-screen presence was truly that set her apart to then become great. And I think Shawn Spears has all the talent. I think he's incredible talent. He just he needs to crack that code, whatever that code may be.
You got to be a code cracker.
Yeah. Don't break it though, because then you'll get sued.
No. Also, for the WWE 2K24 game coming out is some not breaking news. This was a kind of a big deal because the internet was demanding, going like, CM Punk, how is CM Punk not a part of this game?
Right.
Will he be part of the DLC? And CM Punk addressed it online and going like, all right, I'm going to at
Right.
2K and let him know like you all want it, and let's see if we can make it happen. He's saying, on screen that I had no talks there. I don't know anything.
Right. He's acknowledging.
Let's see if we can make it happen.
Right. Do you think that?
So he made it seem like a movement that whether or not they're going like, hey man, we got you in DLC. Don't worry about it.
And this could be him playing everybody to make it seem like, and honestly, that plays into the CM Punk character, the guy who brought us ice cream bars. You know what I mean? Like he can play into that. Hey, I got me in the game, even though they were planning to do it anyway. It's just that's good character work.
And I didn't bring you ice cream bars. Well, I did later, but they didn't have our faces on it, and they were in AEW. But
you get it.
Hey, you had to be at the show. So
yeah.
The DLC we're getting for the game that's set to release on March 8th, so just a few days from now. And I think if you buy it, there's certain ways to get early access to it as well. So some people could be playing it by the time they're listening to this.
Right.
So DLC Pack 1 is the ECW Punk Pack on May 15th. So that includes CM Punk, Bubba Ray and Devon Dudley, Sandman, Terry Funk, and then My Faction content, ECW Paul Heyman manager card, and superstar cards. So that right there is pretty damn great.
Yeah.
That's a solid pack.
That's fun. I mean, this seems like every year it kind of seems to be the thing that they boast as far as like the biggest roster in a WWE game in history. This year it seems to be like worth that hyperbole where it's like, no, it really does seem like there's fucking everybody in this game. Like,
last year had Zeus, so that was the top.
Community Creations, baby. We'll get him somehow. But
DLC 2 includes that's on June 26th. Post Malone, Sensational Sherry, Mosh and Thrasher, the headbangers, Honky Tonk Man, Jimmy Hart as a manager, and then My Faction content, which will include superstar cards. DLC 3 on July 24th. This one's for you, Jake. Pat McAfee.
Oh, McPatafee. Wow.
Mm-hmm.
Can I
playable co-hosts? More details to be announced.
Let me ask you a question.
More My Faction content.
When you play as Pat McAfee, do you enter the match and then realize that you don't want to be in the match and then immediately just eliminate yourself from the match?
Yeah, and then go, hey, I have ties with Vince McMahon. Oh, and then they remove that part. That's all gone.
Right. You know what? Not for nothing. You're talking about, I know that contracts and appearances and everything works in the way that it's going to work, but a couple weeks earlier, bringing back Sean Spears in the Rumble at number 10. It's just an obvious thing you do. Get fucking McAfee out of there. Let him come and return in the Rumble in number 10. And we all get to have a good 5 seconds versus that god-awful 25 seconds that we had to endure with Pat McAfee in the Rumble.
I'd rather take McAfee.
Oh,
DLC 4
shit. Shots fired.
On September 20th includes Jade Cargill.
So many DLCs.
Nia Jax, Michelle McCool, Carlito, Kairi Sane, Lyra Valkyria.
God, that name is so bad.
I'm not familiar with that one. Dragon Lee and more My Faction content. And then DLC 5 on November 13th, Diamond Dallas Page, Iron Sheik, Mr. Perfect, Great Muta, Lex Luger, and more My Faction content. That's crazy.
There was somebody in our Discord. It might have been, maybe it was the champ Mike Lucas. Maybe not. Maybe Tim Redbeard. I apologize. Whoever it is, I apologize. But every time they talk about roster on the video games, they go like, still no Mr. Perfect. Like they're really upset. They keep bringing up Mr. Perfect. There you go. Mr. Perfect.
There you go.
All you got to do is wait for the end of the year and pay a bunch of money.
And several years. And then we got breaking news at the time of this recording.
Wait, before we get on to the breaking news, can we talk about the game real quick?
You stopped breaking news?
Well, because
all right.
I want to go back to the game before we move on from it. I haven't played a WWE game in probably like 10 years.
Yeah, because of your arthritis.
You played, that's right, I have arthritis in the foot, and it always hurts to watch the guys jumping around in the game. You played Battlegrounds, which you loved. That was your favorite WWE game in years.
Oh, my God. It can't get any better than Battlegrounds.
Will you play this game or buy this game? Are you excited about 2K24? Are you like?
I played the past few ever since I didn't play 2K20, the one that was so glitchy and broken that caused the gap where it's like, all right, we got to go back and retool it, and the pressure, all things that was a falling out, right?
Okay.
I started playing them since, and that was 2K22, 2K23. So I played those two. Massive steps up, I'm sure this game's going to be fucking great.
What did you play in them? Did you like create a wrestler, do like a career mode, or did you just like enjoy popping in and playing a character?
Enjoy popping in and playing game modes and characters, and
so you
that
more
pre-existing,
more arcade style. Like you just like to jump in and see what the game has to offer, and then
and I'll do like the story mode of whoever's journey it is that you're supposed to win a match and do all the things. And I find those a little frustrating. I don't really love those, but that's how you unlock other content. So it's I'll do that. That's fine.
Got it.
But any of the other stuff I didn't fully get into. I did the my faction things for a while.
Okay.
But this one I can see doing the WrestleMania modes and checking out the creations, because I just will have more gaming time overall, and just exploring more of it. Right. So I'm pretty stoked on it. The only thing that I don't like is the Brock Lesnar, what's currently being reported news, right? Like they say Brock is in game because I believe he's part of the 40 years of WrestleMania story.
Right. You can't play as him though, but you can play against him. Is that what we're hearing?
That's what is being reported. Right. It's like the files are in there, and he was a character in the game, but the way to, I don't know, ease minds is like, oh, don't worry, he's in there. But
only if you beat him up.
He was content that you could play as, but unless you know how to hack the game, like you can't play as him. So we did a good thing, right? Like, no, let people play as him if he's in the game.
Like remove him,
don't want to play as
or
Brock,
give
like,
him. Like,
don't play as him.
Right? Yeah, I could see.
Don't put content in the game that you made and then say, oh, we blocked it from you.
Well,
next year, don't include him if that's
especially because you didn't take him out of the game, like you said. He's in there. Like you can still, okay. I can understand that point of view.
Because whatever may happen, right? Like he's not in that lawsuit directly. Right. He's being accused a secondary way.
Right.
It's a poor way of saying it, but they're not going after Brock right now. He's being he's in the spotlight amongst all this. But
of course.
It's like,
well,
just let it be there.
Right, yeah. I don't know. I haven't played a game like this in 10 years. My problem with these games is that unlike you, where you're like, oh, I just want to like drop in and see what they have to offer. I'm very much like, all right, I'm going to create a wrestler. I'm going to create a character. I'm going to like be a wrestler as me. And I'm going to like, I want to play the whole story, and I want to create the universe, and I want to have and it becomes like an RPG for me. Cause I like games that are kind of story, structure building driven. But then the problem is that the game doesn't end. It's just goes on forever as long as you want a universe mode or whatever. And I feel like,
it's like wrestling.
Yeah, exactly. And I feel like I have such a stack of games right now that I still want to play that I'm struggling to find time to play. And I'm like, oh, if I put this one in that mix, like, is it good? Because maybe I should treat it more like you, where it's like, oh, when I want to play a game for an hour or two, that's a great thing to play because I don't have to get hooked into like finishing the story or you know what I mean? God damn it. I can't not say it now. You can't. God damn it. I meant finishing like if I was playing a narrative.
Finishing my grit.
Yeah. Narrative.
Story grit.
Yeah.
Finishing my grit story.
Yes. Acknowledging the grit.
Acknowledging the grit.
Of the story change. Anyways.
Pooping on heads.
But I don't know. Maybe I'll pick it up. It's real pricey. Everything's real pricey.
It's the same price as everything else. It's not Dragon's Dogma 2. So don't worry.
But listen.
Go to a red box.
Do they still have red boxes?
Yes.
I did not know that.
Well, you got to go outside.
Well, we'll see. Maybe I'll ask. Well, maybe I'll ask for it for my birthday.
You should.
No, I don't want it.
Yeah, you do.
Anyways. Okay. Well, let's get to the breaking news.
The breaking news, the first member of the Hall of Fame to be inducted in the class of 2024 is Paul Heyman.
Oh, I thought it was Braun Breaker because it was breaking news with 2 Ks. Paul Heyman. He's
alive.
a big part of the story right now, going into the largest story in pro wrestling at the largest event in pro wrestling, WrestleMania. Like, that's really interesting to me.
Yeah, it does feel more story based than it does. I don't know, kind of Hall of Fame
Like,
based, right? We've lost so many people that weren't alive to get their inductions in, and I don't know, maybe Triple H got some reports back from the doctor, and they're like, "Look, Heyman's not doing good. You should induct him now if you're going to do it, because oh boy."
I mean,
those fireworks at any second could set him off.
I just look forward to watching Brock Lesnar induct him. That's, I just feel like it's going to be a beautiful speech.
Sure.
I mean, do you think it's going to end up being like somebody from the Anoa'i family just to?
This is tricky because they
connect and all.
At times, it seems like some of the upper echelon people get to pick
right
who's inducting him, and then at other times it's been, I think, Vince or production saying like, we have a name or we have someone we've chosen for for you to induct you. Like, it's part of the show. You're not actually, this is bullshit. You're not going into a Hall of Fame. So I would guess that in this regime, he gets to pick.
And he's going to be like, Tommy Dreamer. And they're going to be like, okay, never mind. We have an idea for you. Forget that we asked.
Oh, he's not going to sell any tickets.
I don't know. I wonder.
There could be a lot of people. I mean, I think you can rule out a couple people like Taz and such like that.
Yeah, like some of the ECW people that didn't
work somewhere else.
that didn't come into WWE and stay there. Yeah. I mean, I don't know. I feel like I could see them. I don't know right now because of the story. They're such heels now. The bloodline that like. I mean, I think people are always going to love Paul Heyman. Like he's one of those people that he can be in a heel faction and he could get booed on TV, but
this is a night of celebration.
Yeah.
I feel like it's less about story of what's going on. So if you do Roman and all that,
I was going to say The Rock
it doesn't feel as genuine. It feels like more of a show.
I was going to say, I feel like The Rock could induct him. You know what I mean? Like,
that seems really stupid.
What about shit. Yeah, this is tough.
I think you go with the genuine thing. You go like, hey man, who do you want in there? And it's probably, I mean, under other circumstances, it probably could be Brock. It could be.
I got one for you. Not going to be around WrestleMania. Get him on your programming. Punk. What about CM Punk?
Yeah.
He'd probably be great. Obviously tell great stories, and he's, they have that relationship that goes back a while.
He's a Paul Heyman guy. He started all that.
I think.
Or Curtis Axel.
I was just gonna say Michael McGillicuddy. Yeah, I think Punk. I think Punk is the right answer here. Whether or not that's what they want, but I feel like it's
a storyteller for a storyteller,
and you're getting him on your program, Tamina. You're getting him on your program, so like,
Tamina could do it.
Oh God, could you imagine the fucking joy in my heart? She should be inducted to the Hall of Fame this year.
Could be.
And then Nia Jax can induct her.
Hell, Rock's daughter might be inducted in the Hall of Fame already.
Eva Raine?
Sure, her too.
Yeah, this is interesting. I'm glad. Like, it's a double-edged sword because I like inducting.
That's what Drew McIntyre has.
I don't think it has a single-edged sword. I don't think that thing is very sharp at all. I think it's just
that's Adam Copeland.
No, there's no edge there whatsoever. That's a zero-edged sword.
Oh yeah, edgeless.
I forgot what I was gonna say.
Why didn't he have that as a name? I'm edgeless.
I forgot. I had a point, and then you made a bit, and I lost it. Anyways, good for you, Paul Heyman. Oh, I was gonna say, I'm torn because I like inducting people who are mostly still active, who get to truly like enjoy the celebration of all the people celebrating them, but knowing that they still have more to give. Like, that's fun. I like that. That's nice. But he's so pivotal to the main story on their program right now that's what feels weird. If this was somebody a little bit lower down the card who's still around and still working, but it's like, we're going to acknowledge them right now.
Baron Corbin.
Yeah, Baron Corbin. He retired fucking Kurt Angle. Are you kidding me? Hall of Fame career right there.
I feel like you got to be out to do it.
Yeah.
I'm all for the near window, or when it was the moment of Flair going in, because it's, hey, it's going to be ending,
Right.
likely. So we'll do this now. Like that works for me. But when you're still active, then it does become about more story
Right.
than about actually celebrating the career. Cause we're wondering, like, because he has to do something of like, and I will tell you that Roman Reigns will not lose his title.
That's not a prediction. It's a spoiler. I don't know if he does that anymore, but yeah, you get it.
I get it.
Well,
so yeah, we have those returns. We have all that stuff. We have the breaking news.
You know who else?
And,
you know who else could be a good inductor into the Hall of Fame this year? The Icon Sting, because he's recently retired.
Okay, he already went in.
Wait, he's a WWE Hall of Famer? They did that?
Yeah.
Oh
Yeah.
boy. That's why you don't do the news in transition. His whole WWE career is just a fucking blip to me. Oh,
yeah,
Seth Rollins.
It was about less than a year.
Seth
so
Rollins. Well, there you go.
So yes, AEW Revolution happened at the time of this recording yesterday. I watched it last night at Mark Warzeka's, or I watched as much as I could, on thanks to Bleacher Report.
So I watched just that match this morning on Bleacher Report. First off,
on my Bleacher Report,
get your shit together, Bleacher Report interface. It took me, and I wish I was exaggerating,
come on, this is not the complaint.
12 minutes to fast forward to that match, because the fast forward is so fucking slow.
No. Okay. That's small potatoes compared to what everybody else had to go through.
Sure.
That's not the complaint here about Bleacher Report.
But it also took me 12 tries to get the pre-play to even play, where I would hit the button and play now, and it would just be a blank screen for indefinite with a little thing.
Still not the issue.
No, so you guys just didn't have a stream.
46 minutes.
That's
why I'm saying for your stuff is not applicable to any of what we're talking about. There were so many people online talking about it and complaining and saying like, it's not working. It's not working. Bleacher Report did not respond.
Right.
To anyone's concern online. Like, I haven't tweeted in a while. I sent some nasty tweets.
Ooh, I want to go look.
And just calling out like what was going on and saying, and seeing other people's complaints. And this was the first time that I felt like I had a different situation, and that gave me more perspective of what other people will probably go to. Like, normally it's, if I'm ordering a pay-per-view, it's pretty chill and pretty laid back. Like I'm just watching it either by myself or I'm watching it maybe with a friend. But I went to LA, like I drove out, going to go see a buddy. This worked on this day. I could be doing other things, and I'm not doing any of those other things.
Right.
I could be hanging out with family or doing something, or all these other things that are on my plate. This is $50 that I don't really want to spend on it. And you know, whereas I could win in on a halvesies, and that's very nice. But trying to coordinate all the stuff and all the other options that were available on the day, and the anticipation of seeing this, and one of the other matches that I wanted to see was Danielson and Kingston, which didn't happen because that was part of the 46 minutes.
Yeah.
And thinking about all the time and everything, going like, this is wasted. This is wasted. I set all this aside, and it's not happening. I paid $50 for it, and no one's saying anything. No one's doing anything. Tony Khan eventually had said something, but his response was bullshit. Let me see if I can bring that up.
While you do that, 10 Scott Narver, who, by the way, uses Twitter so much that in his description it does state he is the co-host of @Compadre's show.
Oh, nice.
So you might want to.
I should get back on that show.
I want to take a look at editing that. That's @PW Palskis, gentlemen. But yeah, 10 tweets about this, all better, each one better than the one prior.
So one of them, I was debating, like the Tony Khan one. I'll read what Tony Khan said first.
Okay, go for it, please.
Talk about it. So he said, like 50 minutes into the broadcast, thank you all watching AEW Revolution tonight. For anyone with issues ordering on Bleacher Report, I understand BR's app has now fixed the issue on most platforms. Plus, just to ensure that everyone can view the pay-per-view, we've now been cleared to offer Revolution on Fight TV in the US as well.
Okay.
So I responded with spent $50 on Bleacher Report and missed 2 matches over 46 minutes of pay-per-view because the app didn't work. But I can order it again on Fight TV? Sorry, Tony, I'm not paying multiple times to fix an issue.
Yeah, that's absurd.
And there were other things that I had written before that that had a bit of snark, and I asked Rebecca, I'm like, should I say this? And he was very encouraging. Like,
yeah, do it. Fuck it. Yeah, that's what I want to be like. Yeah, sow seeds of chaos.
And I was like, sorry, my daddy won't pay for me to have this show twice.
Right.
You know, it was stuff like that. It was, and I was like, this guy reads these things for real.
And
like Tony Khan legit reads these things and he responds to a lot of these things. And I thought, if this were a character, if this were something else, if this were someone I actually had an issue with, if this was someone of Bleacher Report writing this, someone I actually have a problem with, then I would sooner respond with something snarky because of that. But Tony Khan doesn't actually have a dog in this fight.
No.
He's not done anything. The only thing he's done is he keeps
hiring a
doing
bad
business
company.
with. Yeah.
Right.
And that's sooner what I can call attention to. And if he's being snarky or stupid in return, then that can be earned. But I'm just spreading hate for no good reason by doing that.
Well,
so I checked myself before I read
I don't really think that spreading hate's going to matter on this fucking app anymore, where all these fucking Elon blue check AEW fucking incels are so excited at how good he has been. Thank you for being so responsive and flexible. Fantastic. Or I'm sorry, great pivot. We're in. All these people who were like, this is an all-time great. Thank you. Like, people responded to his tweet that you just read out loud. And like, not that there aren't people who are like, oh, I already paid $50. Like, there are people like you, but there are so many people who are just like, great businessman. He's the best. No notes.
But they were not happy with the tweet from Bleacher Report when it went live. That one had all kinds of nasty stuff written to it.
When it finally went up.
So I had a response of like, not on your app. It doesn't. Cause I tried on 3 different devices. Like I was going phone, computer, and TV, or a Roku specifically. Give me a refund, you stiffs. Could you be more unprepared for a big show? This is what one person wrote.
I just see that one where it's Bleacher Report writing like AEW Revolution starts now, and it says not on your app. It doesn't. Well done, Scott. Yeah, I mean, listen, it's a fucking clusterfuck.
I don't get it. I don't get it how it's years and they've been doing this and it doesn't. You have an issue like that.
I mean, I
can understand like a couple minutes, maybe something a little funky, but after 5 minutes,
do they offer any? Like, can you go to the website and write a customer service thing to try to get a partial refund? Like, there has to be some sort of recourse here.
I'm going to look into that today. There was something about a phone number you could call and people were saying like, it's not doing anything. Like I can't get through to anybody. Nothing's going on. So other people have written, they don't do anything.
Right. Well,
so I don't know how much I want to pursue it other than probably just acknowledging like on the podcast and on air, like, that's going to just prevent me from wanting to order anything else in the future. Right. I mean, AEW is not a product right now I'm totally into, but it is a bummer to just immediately go, oh, I don't want to order it because shit might not work. But I like having access to Bleacher Report because they catalog everything. And for the sake of our watch alongs, now that we also have the video watch along where people can see what we're watching, they don't have to worry about finding the match. I like having that stuff to have access to for the sake of our show, for the sake of doing fun stuff and the listeners. So any of the shows I bought previously, they don't just go away in the ether. It's not like buying pay-per-view on cable that, if I didn't have it on my DVR, it's gone.
Yeah, you bought it for the one live experience and that was it. Yeah.
Yeah. I like to have it archived so we have material to do stuff with. And for the sake of like,
you paid for it.
You could watch the following day.
Totally. Like I did this morning.
So that was incredibly frustrating. incredibly disappointed in Bleacher Report. I know that people have said other apps, like they've said Fight TV or this and that, but calling it out on air, like that's such a stupid bullshit problem for AEW to have this late into the game.
Yeah,
and Bleacher Report.
I wouldn't be surprised if
fucking garbage.
You don't get emails about a class action lawsuit at some point, because it seems like that's the sort of thing. You ever get those where it's like a class action lawsuit has been, issued against fucking blah, blah, blah. It seems like you might have been a customer at some point between the dates of this and this. Please enter your information. And I've done that, and I've gotten like $25 from somebody once because I was like, yeah, I was a customer of fucking whatever it was, Paramount Plus. I don't know. But you gotta.
Yeah, those creep me out from time to time because they go like, this seems like a scam.
No, they're not.
I don't know how to differentiate that this is okay or not okay.
Scott, every email you ever got is real. Yeah.
Oh.
All right. Well, let's talk about the actual.
My dick's gonna get so big.
Let's talk about the actual event itself.
From what I saw.
From what you saw. Well, I just meant I'm talking about Sting. I didn't watch anything else. I just watched the Sting match, considering that's the big deal.
There were certainly things like many a clusterfuck match, many a multi-man thing. As Warzeka pointed out, he was very fascinated to watch how the show is going to be produced.
Okay.
Because he had assumed, this is a night of Sting.
Right.
Like you make half the show about Sting, video packages, this, that, interviews, people talk about Sting. And that turned into more of their social media game where they had other things about Sting. But it was weird to watch a show that is all about this is Sting's final match, that it's not about Sting's final match. The last time it certainly was.
Right. It's like, it was awful and in the Thunderdome, but it was like the last farewell special of whatever that episode of WWE was for Taker, where it was like all night long, it was just Taker this, Taker that, and then there was a match, and there was this, but then it was like, now we're just going to send Taker out there to do a thing. Like
a Survivor Series, was it not?
You might be right. Yeah, I think you're right.
Because he debuted at it and ended at it. Survivor Series Taker Bye-Bye Show?
Taker Bye-Bye Show. TBBS. I wasn't excited that this was a tag match for the title. Like the setup, we talked about this a couple weeks ago. Like the setup for this match made me zero interested in it. But I got to watch it. It's Sting's last match, is the icon and all that jazz. I enjoyed the little pre-made movie. I'm curious whether or not they had to throw the E some money for some of that WCW footage. Considering
there wasn't WCW footage.
There wasn't any WCW in that?
No, there was stills.
Right.
But no, that was New Japan.
Right. I could have sworn that there was some, but maybe not. Yeah, maybe they avoided it well and they just tricked me into thinking that they covered most of his career. I mean, I know they didn't.
Yeah, because there's other. I mean, it's like seeing Owen Hart footage when they show that stuff, that it's from Japan or other promotions that is not WWE owned. So they did it with another video that was a montage of Sting. And yeah, I could see the assumption. You're like, oh, that's Surfer Sting. That's clearly from WCW. Or there's the Giant, Paul White. That must have been it. No, it was in Japan or is in another thing. So.
But it was nice. It was
they mastered it.
Well. Yeah, it was well made. It was nice. It was effective.
I was bummed out. No one else was in that theater.
It does seem like maybe more people would have wanted to come and watch that.
See it. Darby didn't even.
Do you think he made that himself and then watched it by himself, for himself, of himself? What a goddamn sociopath you are, Sting.
Darby, you can't also show up to see that.
The movie he was watching ended, and then he said it's showtime for the last time. No, showtime was when that movie you watched and sat down started. When is showtime?
Maybe
what show?
Maybe everyone was lined up around the block, and he screened it, and he's like, "Oh, okay,
right. Now I got everybody in." He wanted to make sure that
are my kids dressed up as me?
Wanted to make sure the projection was just right. Okay, so let's talk about that. I was not aware that those were his sons until it was specified later in the entrance. But
that was also in the video package that you saw his sons.
Right. But I just didn't know, like, when they came out, I thick surfer Sting made me laugh a little bit. But then when they're like, it sounds like, oh, okay, no, now I like it. That's fine. But it was.
Yeah, I was, but the crowd had clearly reacted. Like, oh, Sting's coming out. It's Great American Bash Sting.
Like,
oh, wait, that's his kid. Son of a bitch.
Oh, wait. Right, and there's another one in a wig, a really bad black wig. Looking like he's in a red crow costume from 1998.
To be fair, Taker had a worse wig on himself for a WrestleMania build-up.
You're not wrong.
I thought that was,
But it was cool.
a nice
Right.
moment. I thought that was a good way to incorporate them and something sweet
Also,
for him to celebrate and to have you've involved these gigantic sons in the storyline being beaten up by two very small sons of someone, Steven Seagal, and that it was just a cool way to acknowledge, like, hey, here's Sting's.
It did seem
here's pivotal moments in his career, and he's coming out with them, and to have that moment.
Also,
that was very cool.
We always talk about Taker and Sting and how they're like these parallel kind of careers and how they never.
Mm-hmm.
Both guys wrestled their last match to Metallica. Metallica is 2-0 against Sting.
Good call.
They may have never fought each other, but they both fought Metallica.
Yeah, and then for Lars Sullivan's final match, he's going to fight Lars for Metallica.
Yeah. Oh shit, Lars versus. Oh wait, then that doesn't make sense. Sting should have fought Sting from the Police if that's how that works.
No, it's not. It's just Lars on Lars.
I've watched that movie. Anyways, the match starts and it's just a 4-on-2, and I'm like, oh, okay, cool. I like it when the good guys just come out and just play the advantage. I was a little surprised that the boys came. I thought it was just like the entrance. It was like, oh, it's like a thing to honor.
They got beaten up with bats.
They did eventually. Fair. Yeah, they got taken.
And it was, a tornado tag match, which in no way means no DQ. But hey, in AEW, I guess it does. So
hey, anything goes in a tornado tag match, according
to you.
To them.
I like the moment it started with Darby jumping on him and Sting throwing his jacket at the same time. I was like, I dig that.
Yeah,
that's cool.
I will say that the beginning of the match did not let. I was just like, oh, I just felt like, oh, this is just going to be a garbage match for his last match. Like I just felt like the tornado of it all, the no DQ of it all, was just going to be like, this is just going to be garbage. But I think that at the end of the day, once the boys got out of there, once Sting,
the Young Bucks?
Sting 2 and Sting 3, once they were gone, then I was like, oh, okay. I was into it. We didn't even talk about Steamboat.
I was relieved it wasn't a massive spot fest. It was more of a stunt show, which I don't know if that was great in a lot of ways, just for my personal taste of his last match, because it started in a way where it was just it was a spot fest and like, hey, us two, we're going to take this guy and throw him under the rail. And we're acknowledging the crowd. Like, this works. You could do a bit of this and take the guy out. And it's a bit more wrestling grounded, but they're just throwing him around in bigger spots. But I'm glad it wasn't a bunch of crazy Young Bucks spots in which all the timing and everything had to be right.
And I think there is something,
and that was going to be miscued because I felt like that's not going to work to Sting advantage at all. But they didn't.
20 Canadian destroyers into a super kick, into a fucking rolling DDT, into a fucking and there's something to be said about the Young Bucks leaning into the heels, where like I don't know that they can. I mean, they shouldn't. Whether they can or do is completely separate because they do what the fuck they want. But they shouldn't be doing all of the super high work rate, fucking too much flippy shit, because that's stuff that baby faces do, So it would lend them like this gimmick lends, itself to them wrestling a better match, in my opinion. I will say, man, once that fucking glass chair spot, no thanks. Like I didn't need that.
You wanted more of it, is what you're saying.
Yeah, I mean, he didn't die, and so therefore I'm left unsatisfied. Fucking Darby Allin.
I couldn't believe that the first pane glass that's laid up against the ring, and Sting tries to hit one of the Jacksons with the bat, and then the glass doesn't break, but then he hits it again to break the glass. I sat there with Rosetta and I went, why? Why
use it?
Because he's like in a murdering frame of mind. It's like, oh no, why are we gonna have glass and all this? Like, what is the point? And they set it up with the chairs on the outside, and it was clear that Darby's going through this. Darby's done
100%, yeah,
particular spot before,
but not from that height
that we've seen with glass. Yeah. We've seen it from that height. He did it with Jeff Hardy.
I missed that,
and just did stupid and. He did stupid again, and Yeah, that was too much. It
Too much.
certainly was a sight to be seen, and then Sting did it later. At least I couldn't tell if that was different glass because it broke in bigger chunks.
Right.
But
I noticed it looked like more like
some of that looked like it could have gone out in the crowd.
I think that
it explodes.
I think the stuff that I think that pane was more of like a sugar glass, the one that Sting went through. And Darby's was real.
But at least he had layers on.
Because exactly. And we also didn't see it all up in his arm and elbow that is exposed. Like there was no, but
that the glasses, all that kind of stuff just gets to be too dangerous for no good reason.
But I liked that I didn't like the Darby spot. I didn't need that. But the fact that it happened and then Darby was out made the match psychology work for me. And it made me go, oh, this is like Sting's last match. And now he doesn't have his partner. He's got his friends at ringside doing whatever they can. And I really enjoyed, Steamboat getting a little action. Flair,
Steamboat. What's the affiliation that Steamboat has with Sting?
They wrestled in that tournament we watched on Watch Along for the NWA. They were number 10 to number 1, maybe. No, I don't remember. What the fuck? I don't know.
It was great to watch that. Like as I could point out, it's like they have no fucking affiliation with each other whatsoever. It's just like he's old. I guess.
Yeah, they're friends. They're just from the same generation.
It was weird.
But anyways, it was nice, like that the psychology of the match with Darby being out and then Darby coming back in after being attended to and not being able to quit. Like it.
But people have been through glass, and then Steamboat's like, "Wait a minute, did you grab a title belt?
Right.
No.
I don't know. The match ended better than it started. As far like when it started, he immediately went for like the double fucking. I was like, oh boy, this is gonna be rough with the brothers, but it was fine.
Thankfully, he did it in the beginning and not the end when he could stand up.
Did it live up to the career of the man? I don't know.
It sounded like he wanted to do something wild on the way out. He did that. He made a spectacle for all to see. It felt like I can prove that I can do this too. I don't know why so many older wrestlers are basically mimicking Terry Funk, where they've had a career of doing whatever it is they were good at, and then went, well, I've hit a certain age now. Terry Funk became middle-aged and crazy and did hardcore stuff. He was unique in that, but now so many others are mimicking that. I don't understand why they feel they need to do so rather than they could do whatever. They could change it in any way they want.
But if I had to guess, I think it's just that they feel like they're limited physically and their bodies can't wrestle the way they used to wrestle. And so, well, one thing I can do is get fucking hit over the head with a goddamn light fucking tube or go through a fucking pane of glass. Cause it's, I can't work fast. At least I could work violently.
Yeah, I don't buy that.
I'm not saying that that's the right mentality, but that sounds like it makes sense to me, to somebody, especially somebody like Sting, who's hanging around fucking the AEW locker room, hanging around the Too Much Express. You know what I mean? Like,
so I was shocked that he won. I was shocked that they did it that way. I'm more so shocked that the Young Bucks lost.
Right. He's undefeated in AEW. His entire AEW run, he never lost a match. Sting.
Which was a stat that both Warzek and I were shocked by, and like I felt like that wasn't played up at all. I didn't know that.
Idea.
I didn't know that he never lost.
Neither did I. I also didn't believe it. I also thought like, oh, there had to be like a multi-man thing he was in, or there was some sort of thing where he wasn't pinned, but him and Darby lost a tag match. Like they had to have lost at some point. I didn't bother doing the research, but I just heard it on commentary.
No, he didn't.
Wow.
I looked it up.
Wow. In which case, that was your time to lose. I mean, I don't know. Whatever. It can go both ways.
No, I mean, I was also trying to distinguish this with Warzeka and going, anybody who's a full-time wrestler that either becomes part-time or they have a continuous stint wrestling.
Right.
When they retire, they lose to someone else to make the next person, or they lose in their retirement match. But we've hit this new era potentially with legacy wrestlers,
right,
that come back again. Or they're just so damn old that Flair wins his last match because
why not?
We don't.
It's feel good. Yeah, it's feel good. We want to watch the old guy win.
Sting. We want to see him win. We don't want to see him lose. So maybe that's the era that we're going into with
probably
these legacy wrestlers that if we see it one more time, Taker won
Yeah.
his last match. But it was certainly a feel good moment. There was stuff that was acknowledged in the press conference, the media scrum rather, that was interesting. It was revealed that Tony Khan wanted Sting to stick around to the next All In
Okay.
at Wembley to have the retirement there and to basically sell out the stadium again. But Sting said, no, can't do it. So that was the plan. Sting said no. He's been offered to stick around and to do something else. Sting flat out said at the scrum, I don't want to be a manager and I don't want to be an agent.
Wow.
And Tony Khan's face went like, I don't know what else to do then. So he said no to those two roles. But he said yeah, I'm still open to talk and about stuff. Sure. What else? I feel like this is kind of shitty, especially at the scrum to say it. So obviously there's going to be a tournament because Tony Khan has stripped them of the tag team titles, which
we called this shit.
Is so frustrating to me in the realm of everything that Darby went through in this match
for nothing.
For nothing, because he's stripped of this. There's no say. There's no story of, hey,
you have to get another partner.
MJF and Adam Cole were tag team champions for months and months and months, and Adam Cole was out with injury, and MJF fought for the tag team titles on his own or with somebody else and had a substitute partner. So we don't have the consistency there of the story of like what one can do in AEW, just immediately taken away.
This to me, they miss a great opportunity here to find something new for Darby. This could be the beginning of a great program with Darby and another person who we have not seen him interact with, who maybe starts out as a babyface partner. It could be Darby needs to find a new partner. Somebody steps up and says, let me do it. Let me step in. Let me fill. I know I'll never be able to fill the shoes of the icon Sting, but give me an opportunity and I'll help you retain those titles against fucking whoever. And then that person could fucking turn on Darby or whatever, and then they can have a great program together. And then Darby can lose the titles without having to tarnish like the Sting legacy of them having the titles. Like, fucking great. It writes itself.
So that was a bit of a letdown with the good moment that is Sting, but Sting seemed very happy with all things.
Is Darby going to have a tag team partner and be in that, do you think, with another person? Because that would be fucking terrible. I could understand if it was like, oh, we're going to have a tournament to see who the new number one contenders are for Darby versus of Darby and whoever he decides, you know.
Or you even go on Dynamite, you go like at the scrum, you say, we're going to give Darby a few days to decide what he would like to do. We're giving him the privilege of
championship privilege.
The decision. Would he like to go forward as a tag team champion if he's medically cleared? And does he want to choose a new partner? Do you want to relinquish the titles? Do you want to take time off? Like it's the intrigue of like, you got to tune in Wednesday to find out what's going to happen.
Right.
Nope. Scrum. Fucking buzzkill immediately.
And what about Sting's fucking point of view on all this? Sting loves this young man. He's supposed to be his, the greatest tag team partner I've ever had. He's supposed to be this mentor. Yeah. And I think Sting's character on TV would not be okay with Darby losing being stripped of the tag team titles just because he is too old to wrestle now. And that to me is that's a whole storyline right there.
And on top of all this shit, like if you have these EVPs that are the Young Bucks that are playing into this now, 5 years later, and then way after the Punk thing, why don't they strip Darby of the titles unfairly and unjustly on Dynamite when Darby is saying, I'm going to pick a new partner, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that, and they go, no, we take the titles off you, and we thought about a tournament, but you know what? We're just going to award them to the next tag team that is deserving of them. And it's us, like some fucking ultimate horrible move.
Perfect.
Anything.
That's perfect. Yeah.
But it's...
all of these ideas better than what they are doing.
So many a head-scratching moment. It's a wonderful night for Sting. Like if that's what he wanted to do and that's what's going on, good on him. I think it was a decent enough showing. I think it was nice to see him winning at the end.
Well, let's
that,
go.
that it was ultimately a feel good thing. And is it the last one?
I don't
know.
Think so. I think again, I just can't imagine that he doesn't say yes to some Saudi money in a few years or something similar, or a Mania moment with somebody. I don't know.
Well, he is a man of principle, so I don't know if he'd do the Saudi thing.
Yeah, maybe,
because he certainly has more principle than most,
Okay.
and throughout his actions and his words throughout many years, showing up and like hanging out and wanting to wrestle.
So what you're saying is you're saying here Sting is better than Virgil because Virgil was able to be bought for all those years, but not Stinger. Perpetual good guy. Wow, Scott. Really? After he passes, speaking so ill of the dead. Well, let's talk really quickly.
That's all I do. What am I going to say when they're alive? No, they could come after me.
We have to strip our champion of their title and have a tournament as well.
I thought he was defending. No, you're just taking it away.
Yeah, we're taking it away. We're stripping Mike Lucas of his PWP
Holy
championship,
shit.
And then we're gonna have a
Jake really playing up his EVP.
We're gonna have
role.
a tournament though, in which can be in if he is in it, which I believe he still is. I never like blowing up people's spots on whether or not they're still or patrons or not. But anyways, before we get on to that championship event, let's talk really quickly about the very ending of the broadcast. The very, very ending of the broadcast. Sting takes a mic and he has some shit to say. He tells the crowd that they were great at fucking 89 or whatever it was. They were great tonight. 69. Wow, really long time. And he says that Darby's the best partner he's ever had. And then Darby walks over and whispers something in his ear. Sting gets a little befuddled, and we're all like, oh, what's he going to say? We're so excited. What's he going to say? And then he just says, and I quote, "I've got to wait. I'm getting cues. Hold on." And then a moment of silence, and then the broadcast just ends with him standing. So I understand that he's not gone from AEW. Like, we'll probably see him on TV, but if not, our final image of the icon Sting on AEW TV is him
that
you paid $50 for, is him holding the microphone going, "I'm getting cues, hold on," and then end of show. Come on.
Yeah, Darby had acknowledged roughly 3 minutes before that, hey, we got 3 minutes left. Let's give some love to Sting. And I was curious. I felt like at the scrum, had I been there, I certainly would have asked about how does this work? Like, who do you answer to?
Right.
How do pay-per-views at this point work? Because Bleacher Report, they shouldn't have to answer to anybody. They could do whatever. Fight TV, they should not have to answer to anybody. I don't know how pay-per-views work at this point, because I would think there's so many pay-per-view channels, like actual channels, that there's nothing following on Sunday, March 3rd at 9:00 p.m. There is nothing else. You're going to play a replay, but if you have to bump it back a little bit because this broadcast is still going, isn't there just fees, or don't they just have to pay additional money because they went over their allotted slot, but that's something for you? I don't get it.
Also, it's a 3 hour and 58-minute pay-per-view. So it's not like they went 4 hours it's not like they went 3, 5, 9, 5, 9. You know, it was like, that's it. Once you hit the 4 hour mark. Like it was an odd time. I don't know. Everything about it was strange. And it just feels like
they've been so bad with their television, because this was a whole debate between Alvarez and Meltzer that I don't know if you ever saw that, right? Like it's pretty fucking funny. Old versus new, and guy who's so in AEW's butthole and one that's not.
Who is who? Is Brian Alvarez?
So the argument, Brian Alvarez and Dave Meltzer, and there was a discussion about the AEW television product had been going over time.
Got it.
So if it ends at 10 p.m., let's say, right?
The broadcast.
Like Dynamite ends at 10 p.m., it's basically going to 10:05 p.m. And there's many a viewer out there that like has a basic DVR.
Right. Oh, and their shit stops.
And it's going over, and they go, "I'm missing the end of the show." So Alvarez is saying to Meltzer, like, they're going over the show. Why aren't they hitting their time? That doesn't make sense. Like, a lot of people want to finish the show and see what the show is. And Meltzer going, well, people should set their DVRs with a few minutes over. And Alvarez is saying, that's not on the viewer to do. It's on AEW to either come in on time or to be talking to the television companies and going, we need more allotment. So when our show is listed, it needs to have a 5-minute overrun so that it records all of it.
Right.
And Meltzer's saying like, no, it's on the viewer. And Alvarez like going back like, no, it isn't. It's on the TV people to make their TV show right so people don't miss it. Because why are they being punished? So it was a big back and forth, and it got very funny about the stupidity of it, of, in my opinion, on Meltzer's point of view, of like that it's all based on the viewer. Right. And again, like they don't come in on time for the pay-per-view. I get it if you're having a moment and it's like Sting's going to talk off air, but to have the finality of, hey, we need to make sure we hit this moment on air.
Right.
Of you saying or acknowledging whatever it is, and then there can be more off air. Apologies, there's a phone ringing in here. I live where there's a landline now.
I think we talk about this a lot, and when AEW started, I fucking bitched and moaned all about the production value and how I feel like there were so many things they were doing that just felt like fucking amateur hour. And I dropped that argument because people were telling me that I was fucking wrong all the goddamn time. But then I feel like like we settled on like, there's a happy medium here. Not everything needs to be so overproduced like WWE to the point where you could see wrestlers trying to hit fucking marks for camera shots. But things don't have to be so fucking Wild West chaos that we're missing out opportunities to kind of control, the viewer's experiences in a way that ensures our product is putting our best foot forward. There's a middle ground there. And I feel like AEW is like, it's been too long for them to keep missing this mark, in my opinion, where it's just still just like, it feels like there's nobody in control.
Well, Tony Khan acknowledged in the scrum in a moment that I felt too was like, no, that is a completely incorrect perspective to have for something like this. He had said the scrum started late. The overrun of what ended up being like Sting talking off camera, I think it was about 9 minutes off broadcast. And then Tony Khan saying like, hey, isn't it great? Like we can just post it all online. Like that's the beauty of this now. It's like, no, it's great that you can post any other additional moments on off air on social media. Absolutely. You can show alternate angles. You can do all that extra stuff there. But the $50 show, as you add more pay-per-views every month and charging all these people this high rate, and they don't get a complete show, whether the app doesn't work and you don't get the complete show that way, or they feel like the celebration to this monumental moment is cut short. That's not a complete show. They're not supposed to go and seek out the rest.
Right.
Of the complete show. They can seek out the additional material.
Right. Yeah.
They can seek out the extras. Right. They can seek out
the backstage interview, Sting, or the whatever, the thing that's supposed to be ancillary.
Sting stuck around more. He said his goodbyes. He said thank you, Darby. The show went off air, and guess what? There was more. Oh, okay, that's cool. But I got the complete fucking story.
You know what?
There.
That not that long ago at some WWE event, Punk came out after it aired in his gear. I'm sorry, not his gear, in like his street clothes with his arm, and he was just like, "Hey, I want to say hi before you guys leave."
Anaheim, like Cody called him out and saying like, "Hey, I wanted to let you know that
played zero into the event that night. It had nothing to do with the match Cody just had. It had nothing to do with the story that they're setting up for next week. It had nothing to do with that evening's excitement. This was the opposite of that.
That is the special, hey, you're here in attendance, and we have a little extra something for you because we want you to feel good and come back next time.
Stone Cold's going to stun some people that just for fun before we guys get out of here. It's that.
Yeah, CM Punk is here. He's not wrestling. He's just going to say some stuff, and we have a little extra fun for you. And there's extra stuff. You can see it online later. Absolutely. Total agreement. And that's what all that is supposed to be.
Well,
Tony Khan's production and putting the show together at this point is getting worse and worse. And whether there's team members that are just encouraging of this, but he doesn't believe he's wrong. And to me, that's shocking that he's convincing himself that it's like, no, I'm doing it right. Like, no, you're not giving complete fucking shows for people. They're getting frustrated. Yeah. I am now one of them.
Well, they could only wish to have the production value that we have. That's right. A bunch of names written on little pieces of paper in a jar that I put a tape lightning bolt on. This is the championship jar here. It is that time for the current PWP World Champ, Mike Lucas, a.k.a. Hackensack, to defend this title. Oh, I gave it back to him. When we were when we were talking about AEW, I gave it back to him. But now he has.
You're so sting. You don't.
Now he
even
has to
know
defend it, and it doesn't count as a second title reign. He's not getting that stat bump. If you would like your name to be put in this little jar, then you got to become a championship Palski. Your name is in here. It's in here like 700 times. I don't know how you haven't won by now. God, it's ridiculous. It's rigged in your favor so much.
Fucking bullshit. I want a hot dog shirt.
Well, if you want your name to get in the jar, then you got to become a championship Palski over at patreon.com/PWPalskis. Each and every month we do this to decide our monthly champion, and the winner of this contest gets to give us something to watch for the watch along series. Now with video, my favorite thing that we do here at PW Palskis. I hope that you'll consider becoming a patron, if for nothing, just to watch those watch alongs. God, we put so much work into it. It's so much fun. It's the best thing, and you're missing out on it if you're not a patron. So please check that stuff out. The winner also gets an item of their choosing from the shop over at dragonwagonshop.com. And of course, your name up in lights at the top of every single live stream, as well as in the Discord. So without further ado, Scott Narver, do you want to see who our March champion is going to be?
I do.
Alrighty, our March champion. Let's see. I'm going to go for... Let's go.
Oh, he's doing the two finger.
Oh, I got two here, though.
Don't only choose one champion. We can't do the double champ.
All right, I'm going with this one right here. Okay. So, the champ for the month of March is Andrea Beeler.
Oh, you didn't even say and new.
Oh, shit, and new PWP champ, Andrea Beeler, a.k.a. Pollen Hate. Andrea Beeler, who just popped into the live stream just in time to see it. Wow, this to me, I feel like she slipped the ref some money. She got here late. She showed up late. She's like fucking Brock Lesnar up in this bitch. She showed up late. She's like, I'm fucking winning. I'm getting the fuck out of here. I didn't show up for the rest of the show. Andrea Beeler, congrats on your victory. We appreciate you as well as everybody who continues to support the program. That'll do it for the live stream. We do have to go take a hotline call or two. Scott Narver, say goodbye to the live stream.
Goodbye, live stream.
747-666-5606. 747-666-5606. That is the number to the Pro Wrestling Palskis hotline. Or you can send a voice memo if you'd like to hotline@pwpalskis.com. Scott, you want to see what the hotline has in store for us today?
Yes, I do.
Hey, everybody. It is Spits of Retribution, a.k.a. Shakar Leveux of the Maximum Male Models. And I was just calling in response to the call to our action for what are we going to call this current generation of WWE? I mean, all seriousness, it's probably just going to be the TKO generation for the next 5 years until TKO gets tired of WWE and sells it to somebody else. Unrealistically, yeah, it's just going to be known as the Bloodline generation. Why not? It's been the main story and probably will continue to be. So yeah, Bloodline generation.
Mass Llama, a.k.a. Spitz, a.k.a. Shakara Lover. He has some ideas for what to call the next era. This is in reference to our episode from last week. He thinks the Bloodline era, which he says is unrealistic, and the TKO era, which is more realistic.
We call it the TKO generation, which I like, the working generation back in.
I like that as well. I think that the reason why I don't think, because he said realistically this is what we'll call it, but I don't think that's the case, because I think he's a little bit pessimistic about the fact that TKO will just eventually get sick of WWE and then sell it. I think this is going to be what it is. Like, I can't imagine TKO letting WWE go now for a very long time. I think this is just what WWE is now. So therefore, I don't think they'll ever label it a era or generation, if you will.
Yeah, they wouldn't do it. I think the fans
Right.
could, realistically.
Maybe.
And I think the only way I could foresee this not being owned by TKO anymore is being absorbed by someone else. Like they sold to something else.
Again,
and then
yeah.
TKO just goes away
Right.
and is absorbed. So that's the only way that could happen. And I mean, I guess realistically that could happen in 2 fucking years, right? Like they make enough money and they can become hot enough. But I think those are solid names. I like them.
Yeah, the Bloodline generation, I feel like the only reason why I think we're at the end of that now. I think what we have been in is the Bloodline era.
But they might get Ava Raine next, and then they're stronger than ever.
Or that other guy that's on the indies that people like, who's also related.
James Ellsworth.
Yeah.
He's related, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
He's that acorn that fell off.
He has a Samoan chin. All right. Mass Llama actually called again.
Is that legal?
And it is generally we would just separate this from one episode to the other episode, but it's time sensitive because he called with his thoughts about Sting's last match. So let's hear what he has to say about that.
Sting's last match was very, very personal, very good. I think, if anything, though, the Young Bucks really need to, stop being the Young Bucks. If they're evil EVPs, then they just need to be Matt and Nicholas Jackson. Drop the whole Young Bucks thing until they become babyface again, which will probably be in a couple of months, given their frequent changes. But in the meantime, they can just be Matthew and Nicholas. Yeah, I really hope that Sting's last match is not mostly remembered for Darby Allin's crazy bumps, but I really, really love seeing Eddie and Daniel Bryan. No, it's Bryan Danielson. I never keep it straight which company is which. And I really love seeing Eddie and Daniel Bryanson just fighting it out. D-Bryan, Daniel Bryan, whatever his name is. American Dragon. Oh, I can't get enough of those two. Just fight forever, as the kids say. Anyway, yep, those are my thoughts.
So, a little concerned that Sting's final match will be most remembered of? No, that's not the words I'm looking for. People will most remember it for... how would you phrase this? People will think about Darby and not Sting. That's what I'm trying to say.
The association will be made.
Yeah.
Of the craziest moment in the match will be Darby.
People will remember it for Darby, is what I guess how you would phrase that.
To me, the moment I think about, less than a day removed, is Sting winning, the victory of him winning, and the moment of him getting up and raising his hands, like that still stands out to me the most. When I think about it, I go, "Oh, right." Think with Darby,
right?
But I also think of Sting with the bat, Sting with his sons. I think it has enough moments overall. I think, maybe if you think match, the craziest thing is that,
right? Yeah.
But I think there's plenty of other Sting moments to remember Sting overall.
I'm going to remember Darby wrestling the most dangerous match he's ever wrestled and then losing his championship for it, even though he won. That's what I remember. But what do you think about his pitch on the Young Bucks dropping the Young Bucks from their name?
I think that's a great idea.
I actually think that's a great idea. Great idea too.
Spitz. I think that's pivotal for a character rebrand to do that. If they're laying in so much with Matthew and Nicholas Jackson, and rocking the EVPs thing, get rid of the Young Bucks, because those are the wrestlers.
Do you want to know what else?
Beyond that now,
it in a way could kind of be a humorous mocking of Triple H now being Paul Levesque publicly. There could be a little bit like, listen, we put on a suit with the Young Bucks were just employed wrestlers. But we're the EVPs. We're gonna pull the curtain back. We are Matthew and Nicholas Jackson, which is funny because it's still the same names, They could have some fun with that, and I think that's a great idea of way to because you're right, they will just be baby faces again in 3 months. And so when they return as the Young Bucks again, it could be fun. I think this is a good idea.
I think it's the only thing that could really help this at this point, with it being mirrored with the other company and being done in such a bigger and more realistic way, even though You can see,
Right.
any newer or just naive wrestling fan, you go, if they're watching, they go like, oh, they're EVPs. Oh, okay, that's the character. Like, no, they actually are EVPs.
Yeah, they really are.
So they're EVPs and then they're acting as wrestlers now. Like, no, they're actually wrestlers too.
Right.
They do both. You go, wait, isn't The Rock doing that? Like, yeah. Rock is,
Same.
he's bigger than that. And,
Right.
well, isn't Triple H that? Yeah, like, yeah, but he's bigger than that. And
Right.
it's so on screen believable with the two of them. And it's on such a bigger stage with more name recognition that it looks like after all this time, because they were too late to the fucking party with
Right.
this.
100%.
Because they were at that super kick party for too long.
Oh,
That they do it right in the moment when it's happening on the other show. It looks like they're piggybacking off it when they've had it the whole time.
this is
But I think they do have to rebrand and go hard on it.
this is our superhero movie universe multiverse, where it's like DC's like, oh, the Flash movie is going to be multiversal Flashpoint. And then it took 7 years to come out. And in that time, Marvel was like, boom, multiverse. We did it. We did it better. And now we're done. Move on. Now we're all sick of it.
And Everything Everywhere
Right.
All at Once also came out.
Right,
And
yeah,
like, we
sure.
don't need to have, we're not
100%.
building a multiverse
No.
for anything else.
We just made the best
This is all
one.
within movie. and we nailed
Right.
it and made you cry.
Well, his
We
last
didn't
point,
need Paul Rudd.
his last point was about Brian Danielson. And
Bride Eye.
did you get to watch the match after the fact? Did you get to rewind or rewatch it?
No.
No? Well, there you go.
I'm you know what I did see? I saw 1, 2, 3. He did it. Like,
Oh, the
that's
worst
when we
way.
came in.
The worst.
And I
Absolute
believe
worst.
there was an audible, fuck, I'm sorry. I know you have a daughter. Fuck.
Well, there we go. Thanks so much for the calls.
I hear it's great. It looked great. It's probably fucking great. And but there's no surprise anymore. We did watch one for a watch along previously. So this is number 2. So who knows? It could be a contender.
It could be. Let's see what else we got in the hotline.
What's up, fellas? It's Mr. Vicious Remo Vinci calling again. I just wanted to call and talk a little bit about that AEW Revolution I watched last night. For one, the first thing I want to say is they need to get their shit together, bro. I couldn't cast this thing on any TVs. It was hard to fucking get. I don't know how the rest of y'all did, but man, it took a lot. It shouldn't be that hard to try and get a pay-per-view these days, you feel me? Anyway, I was able to watch it on a tablet with my whole family circled around this little freaking tablet. And the matches I want to talk about was that Will Ospreay match was fucking amazing, bro. And Takeshita was the shit, too. Those dudes were awesome, man. I can't wait to see more from both of them. And, man, that back looked like he was pretty jacked up, man. I hope dude's okay. But Sting's last match, y'all, man, he went out on a high note. And how crazy was that? Darby is an insane motherfucker, you feel me? But it was a great farewell to Sting. I know he was trying to talk some more. I hope they got some more of that. I didn't get to check social media to see how the rest of that went because I know they ran out of time on the feed. But it was a great show from what I saw. I didn't get to see the whole thing. Like I told you, we had a lot of connection issues, but it was dope. I want to see, I'm anxious to hear what y'all say about it. And thanks for the love and support that everybody that's been listening to my music and keeping me out. I appreciate y'all. Thank you very much. And here's to some more great wrestling this year. Peace out, y'all.
Remo V, man, he said something there that broke my heart about having to watch this on a tablet with his family all wrapped around. That's just because that was the only way you can get it to work.
Exactly. Yes,
Bleacher
the
Report.
connectivity. I'd love to know what app he was using.
Oh, I just assumed it was Bleacher Report, but yeah, maybe it was
but
something
also
different.
yeah, Fight TV. They were advertising
right.
other things available too, and
Right.
so I'd love to know that, and that more to the point of like I feel frustrated for you, Remo V. It sounds like you're in much better spirits and happier than all that. But
Sure, yeah.
That part and the afterwards of like I didn't get to see the other stuff. What happened?
Right.
It sounds like you were attentive and wanting to see what Sting was going to say. And to that point, yes, should have been all on the fucking show, and it should be available to watch easily. So I'm sorry that someone else endured that.
He also mentioned Ospreay Takeshi. Did you get to watch that? Or was that part of the first as well? Was that your first 40 minutes?
I wasn't in a good mental space, and Zach and I were making a lot of jokes, so I saw it kind of in passing, and just the in glances going like, "Holy shit! Holy shit!" Yes, it's a crazy fucking match for sure, and it's wild, and he's right. He's right in all he has to say.
Nice. Fantastic. Well, thanks again for the call, Room V. All right, let's take one more hotline call today before we go from a very special boy.
What's up, hot dog Alskis? It's Cousin Paul from Long Island. My question to you is, what is a gimmick that you did not appreciate as a child, but maybe after rewatching some old wrestling or whatever, you now appreciate as an adult? For me, it's unhinged lunatic Bob Backlund. Just like crazy Bob Backlund. I hated him as a kid, but as an adult, I find it very entertaining. So that's my question to you guys is, what's like a gimmick that you now appreciate when you didn't before? All right. I'll see. I guess I won't see you guys later because I can't see Scott. I love you, Jake. Bye. I love you too, Scott.
My cousin Paul, from Long Island, gimmicks. I 100% agree with him about Bob Backlund. Bob Backlund is not made for children. Do you know what I mean? Like, it is so much better than what was on TV in the product at that time. Him staring at his hands and just being a deranged fucking lunatic. I don't think I appreciated that when it was happening when I was young, but oh my God, is it so good now?
Okay.
But yeah, any other gimmicks that you just didn't click with you, but as an adult, you're like, I'm fucking here for it.
I'm trying to think. Like I brought up some Google images. I just went 80s wrestling and looking at stuff and going, no, I still fucking. I hate Strike Force. I hate the Rockers. That's never changed.
You know what?
I'm racking my brain on like what did I think I just wasn't into.
Very controversial one, and it's not. And I wasn't when I was a kid. It was when I was like a teenager, and it's a lot of it's just become because of this program and because of revisiting wrestling and because of all of the shit that all of the stuff WWE has put out about the fucking documentaries and all the series is. I was such a WWE guy that I fucking hated the NWO. I thought the NWO was fucking corny. I thought that I could not stand fucking Hogan with them. I just thought that it was tacky. I don't know. I did not like it. And it was 100% because I was just this WWF bias. I was like, WCW's garbage. It's all garbage there. But everything I've seen about, and of course I'm talking about the first little bit of NWO.
Through the lens of like their documentaries and.
Yeah, 100%. And like, because we've watched stuff from the watch along that's featured them in that era. Not that it's all been great, but you know, like, I get it. Sure. Like it was exciting I can look at it now and go, fuck, this was a great idea. And the way that specifically Nash and Hall handled everything about coming into the company, being the outsiders, like it was fucking great television. I just didn't appreciate it at the time. I was too young and stupid to get it.
I got mine.
Yeah.
I think that's a solid one. Mine is The Undertaker.
Oh.
It's when I was falling out. I thought things were getting too cartoony and too dumb.
Right.
Undertaker and Paul Bearer to me it was stupid.
Okay.
Like that guy, I'm not into it. Like maybe initially I was like, oh, okay, that's kind of neat. But then when they laid into it more, like the album came out and then he's singing on the album and
you might have aged out of it. Right. I was gonna say you might have aged out of it because you were right at that cusp of like, this could be a little bit corny, right? And I was,
I'm in teenagerdom.
Yes,
and it's
Paul and
I like girls. Wrestling's stupid, and then that didn't turn out at all. So I went back to wrestling. But Undertaker, I was like, it's dumb. I had some weird rule in my head that is not consistent by any stretch of the imagination. Sure. I assure you. But I had a rule in my head. I think I told you about this before. That I thought, if you can't get through the airport, I don't like it.
Okay.
Like if the persona is
like a person,
something so weird where the airport security pre-2001 is like, I'm sorry, what are you? You're an Undertaker and you're walking slow and you have coffins. Like, no, buddy. No, this doesn't work. I feel like Kamala could get through an airport and people just be like, just back up. That guy's a little weird and a little crazy. Just let him through.
Plus, he's getting through TSA for him is a fucking breeze. Doesn't have to take anything off.
No, he pats himself down. So Taker and Paul Bearer didn't work for me, but years later, I appreciate it.
Wow, interesting. Great question. Thanks to everybody who called. Once again, that number is 747-666-5606, or you can send a voice memo to hotline@pwpalskis.com. If you're just like, I always want to call, but I never listen to the number. The number is posted on the website. It's on every art on all the social media at PW Palskis. Like you can find the number literally everywhere.
It's on the bathroom stall
Just save
wall in your local gas station.
It's on
for a good time.
It's on the bathroom stall. And the guy named Saul in the bathroom. Just go ahead and put it in your phone. Save it in your phone and then call literally whenever you have a thought about wrestling. We'd love to hear from you.
And you say there's ways like they can just do it on their phone and email it, right?
Yeah, that's what I said. Yeah,
done that.
Just email it to hotline@pwpalskis.com, and that's another way to do it. That'll do it for this week's program. Make sure you're checking out the shop. Great way to support the show. You can find all of the fantastic merchandise, like this lovely hoodie I'm wearing right now, including this hat. I'm all decked out right now. I'm exclusive from the shop right now.
Man,
it's that time of the year, everybody.
Christmas?
No, the better time of the year. In just a week and some change, Dragon Wagon Radio will be celebrating its 7-year anniversary. 7 years going strong, bringing you podcasts that you hopefully love, if not at least maybe maybe you like us. You endure it. If you want to show your support for the network and for your favorite show on the network, Pro Wrestling Palskis, well then please check out the shop. The shop this year is a great way to support the program. We're kind of up in the air right now, Dragon Wagon Radio, as far as there's no HQ between Alexandra and I traveling. We're kind of all over the place. By all means, if you want to check out the Amazon wish list, there's stuff there, but we're kind of at I usually tout that every year, but we're sort of at a place where a lot of the stuff
crossroads.
A lot of the stuff we need. Ooh, we're in the middle of our story. We have to finish the story. We're in chapter 3. But anyways, you could check that out. Or if you're just like, I don't need anything, I don't want to buy your fucking merch, I just want to support, become a patron or donate directly via PayPal or any of the links that are available there at dragonwagonradio.com/support. That's dragonwagonradio.com/support. Do your part to help us. Pretty much, we push this shit every year on all the shows that we have, and it kind of helps us get through the year, subsidized by our Patreon. So every March is sort of our this is our holiday season, so to speak.
It is a call to action.
Yeah, exactly.
To keep it along. And also another great way to do it. And obviously anything monetarily helps, but there are so many different shows on Dragon Wagon Radio that, are currently going, that have been archived in the past, that it's still like, any show that it's like, hey, did you ever watch that TV show? Go watch that TV show. It's all archived. Like there's plenty of shows that have great runs that you can go check out. And you have friends, you have family that have all different likes, and you can go, hey, did you ever check out this show? Hey, do you currently like this thing? Go check that out.
Absolutely.
There's spread the word. You got the forums, you got the chats, you got people at work, you got, your prison cellmate that's about to bust out because they were working for a wrestling company and they held them down and they're about to leave. So tell them about the show. Tell them about our show. Tell them about other shows. Like there's just spread the word about some shows. That's another great way to help support Dragon Wagon Radio.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you so much for that. And, my timeline is off. It's actually next week, the 14th, the first ever Dragon Wagon podcast started.
Oh, you forgot their birthday. And the Jake's birthday is coming up too.
The day after on the 15th.
You can buy him lunch at Panera Bread.
Oh, I love a Panera Bread. What, are you kidding me? I want that lemonade that's killing people.
Yeah.
I like to take a fucking risk, baby.
Yeah, he's a risk taker. If there's anything I know about Jake, he's a risk taker when it comes to food.
So yeah, do all the things. You can find links to everything at pwpalskis.com. It's all the same place, all one-stop shop. Check out the Discord, completely free. That's a fun way to join the community. Get your friends on board, get everybody you know on board. Let's keep this community going. We really appreciate everybody who's part of this community, and we really appreciate, even more than just the regular folks, the special folks. I'm talking, of course, about our Patreon Palskis, Scott and Arver. We need to thank them.
Yes, and we have a new Palski. So somebody listening went like, all right, I'm in. We're going to acknowledge him at the end of this list and give him some special attention. So thank you to AJ0314, aka Binary, aka Matrice69, Alex Pierce, aka Figs, aka Zetoys, Alice Raider, aka Invasion, aka Evajois, Andrea Beeler, aka Pollen Hate, aka Achu Detest, aka the new PWP champ, Curtis Mason, a.k.a. Hurtis, a.k.a. Auche, Gilbert Short, a.k.a. Goliathon, a.k.a. Batal Underoos, Matt Slama, a.k.a. Spitz, a.k.a. Jakara Lover, Michael Beltran, a.k.a. Limestone, a.k.a. La Natural, Miguel Diaz, a.k.a. Bipod, a.k.a. Too Much Husk, Mike Lucas, a.k.a. Hackensack, a.k.a. Luger Testicle, Suicide, a.k.a. A.K.A. Tim Bemis, a.k.a. War Trek, a.k.a. Tussle Quest, Tim Redbeard, a.k.a. Blood Fuzz, a.k.a. Blue de Fusée, Tom Hader, a.k.a. Cupid, a.k.a. Cherub, Tony Griggs, a.k.a. Big Griggs, a.k.a. Grand Grisois.
Now, before you get on to the new Palski, Scott, what were all those silly fucking names that you were saying?
Oh, my goodness. I didn't even say that. There's been so much today. Yes, this is the only show that gets you a retribution name as well as a maximum male model name. So after you heard someone's real name, then we've saddled them with horrible gimmick names, as wrestling does.
Because
and
at PWP, bad gimmicks never die.
Yeah, that's right. We love them. So much so we forget to acknowledge the very idea of it sometimes during these shows. We have a new Patreon Palski, Strong Style.
And that's the name that they have given us on Patreon.
Hey, I believe that is their Christian birth
we don't know. Well, first off, don't put...
Because Patreon says that's all you can sign up with,
Jesus
right?
Christ. First name Strong, last name Style.
Yeah. And so we've given them a retribution name. Strong Style has been given the name Gains.
Gains. How do you spell that?
Gainz.
Well, welcome Strong Style, aka Gains, to the fold. We appreciate you and all of our patrons' support. Thanks to each and every one of you for helping keep this show up and running, rolling down as we march along here through this very favorite month of mine. That'll do it, everybody. Thank you guys so much for hanging out. We will be back with another program next week, talking all about what happens post-story. Always a blast hanging out with you, the Pro Wrestling Palskis.
Internet! I'm Coy Jandro, a Bostonian who loves pop culture, comic books, and people. And I host Coycast. It's a podcast about all those things. If it fits in on a con floor, we talk about it on Coycast. Myself and producer Jake do previews, reviews, deep dives, and tinfoil hat theories about everything from movies, TV, and the comic books themselves. I also like to dish out comic recommendations from my 100-plus pull list a week so you know what's best to buy. So join us, True Believer, on Coycast.com or wherever you're listening to this podcast right now.
Dragon Wagon.